Excellency, we welcome you to the function. The First Lady, we are very proud of you as the women of Uganda because of the way you handle everything that you do. Your Excellency, right now on the program, we are going to have the opening prayers. We shall be led by the Christian faith, Bishop Joshua Luere, and then the Islamic faith, we shall be led by Shekat Namakula, who is representing His Eminence, the Mufti of Uganda. Bishop Luere and Shekat Namakula.
Father God, we stand here today to first of all thank you so much for an opportunity like this to come together and celebrate the woman that you love, the creation called woman that you specially loved. God, you love women, you treasure women, you respect women. You had a good day when you created the woman, because we are told from the scriptures that unlike men, whom you created from the dust, you picked a rib from a man and created the woman. You mused at it, you took your time, you did it very slowly and meticulously, and at the end you were so happy that the woman you had created was fearfully and wonderfully made. No wonder women are beautiful. No wonder we look at them and muse just like you did. When you brought the woman to Adam, he looked at this woman that you had created and was wowed. He was so excited, and he gave her a name and said, "This shall be called the woman." He was very excited. So we know that women are fearfully and wonderfully made. For that we want to thank you so much. Lord, unfortunately this woman that you loved, you created, you destined for greatness, for dignity, for honor, for respect, her through the many, many centuries has been battered, rejected, marginalized, oppressed, abused in so many ways. As men, Lord, we ask that you forgive us, because we've used all our culture theories and beliefs and superstitions to mistreat this woman, to abuse this woman, to marginalize this woman. So many bad things we've done through the centuries. Forgive us, Lord. This woman who was abused like that, you chose that in the second creation you would send your own begotten son Jesus through the woman. And you said this will be the seed of the woman. And you sent your son, born of a woman, without a man, especially because you wanted to lift this woman from that oppression and bring her back to the dignity and the destiny that you had originally ordained. Lord, we are here to celebrate that woman. We are here to join you, to love that woman, to lift that woman. Lord, to empower that woman. Today, as a nation, we stand here to ask you, Lord our God, that your presence will be with us as we do that. May every word that will be spoken today, every speech that will be given today, contribute towards that which you desire, to lift, empower, and restore the woman. Thank you, Father. We bless you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. We are reading the Quran 49:13.
O mankind, we created you from male and female and made you nations and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Allah is knowing and acquainted. Let's pray. O Allah the Almighty, we thank you for our country, Uganda. We thank you for all the good things that you have bestowed on us. We are not taking anything for granted. Thank you, Allah, for the wisdom and the compliance in our fight against COVID-19. Thank you for the sober leadership of President Museveni and Mama. They led us through, even in one of the most difficult years, 2020. Allah, we pray against all the diseases that disturb the human race. We stand in for victims of COVID-19, victims of other diseases like cancers, postnatal complications, teenage pregnancies, gender-based violence, torture, and all types of sufferings. Please reduce them to nothing. Allah, all these fights need focused and sober leadership. Please bless our president and his family and all who believe in him. Bless all the Ugandans and the African race. Please use him to make this country a COVID-19 free. Heal the infected and support the affected people. Restore our jobs that we may have lost. Help us to build on the women's strengths for a better future in a COVID-19 world. In your name, I pray.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We deliberately requested Bishop Joshua Rwere to lead prayers, even if it is on this occasion of the International Women's Day. We are thinking about gender equality, gender equity. Even if we are women celebrating our day, we cannot exist alone without the men. Your Excellency, we are celebrating under the theme, Building on Women's Strength for a Better Future in a COVID-19 World. I like this bit of a better future because the NRM manifesto's theme is securing your future. Might as well start with the women. Your Excellency, please allow me to invite the European Union representative to come and make some remarks. The European Union representative.
Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, First Lady, Honorable Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development and all ministers present, UN Resident Coordinator and all country representatives, Honorable Member of Parliaments present, representative from government ministries and departments, and of course all the participants following this event through the media channels. It is a great pleasure for me on behalf of the EU and its member states and on my own behalf to make this statement as we commemorate the International Women's Days 2021. The theme for this year's national commemoration is Building on Women's Strength for a Better Future in a COVID-19 World. We are all aware of the devastating effects the COVID-19 pandemic is causing globally as well as here in Uganda. We know that women, including girls, are the most affected by COVID-19. Women across the world are facing increased domestic violence, unpaid care duties, unemployment, poverty, and early pregnancy. The unprecedented closure of schools has resulted in an alarming number of girls becoming pregnant. There is a disproportionate and inadequate representation of women in national and global COVID-19 spaces all over the world. Yet, on the other hand, women are at the forefront of the battle against COVID-19 as health sector workers, scientists, doctors, and caregivers. The theme of this year's International Women's Day reminds us to celebrate the efforts of women and girls around the world in overcoming the tremendous effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. It also highlights the gaps and the challenges that remain. We all know the fight against COVID-19 in Uganda is spearheaded by your own Honourable Mr. Dr. Cheng and her technical team led by the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Advin. We celebrate and applaud you together with all the women you collaborate with in your efforts. As we celebrate these achievements, we are all challenged to continue and work harder to build on the strength of these women in making the world better for women and for everyone. Borrowing from a common slogan that goes like this: educate a girl child, a nation trained. I gladly say, strengthen a woman, and nations strengthened. The EU delegation and member states in Uganda are working as one Team Europe, and we are committed to working with the government of Uganda and communities in addressing some of the gender gaps that exist. This we do through direct partnerships with government ministries, through our support to the various UN agencies, and also through civil society organizations. Let me just cite a few examples. The EU-UN Spotlight Initiative to eliminate violence against women and girls, the Irish support to the Social Protection Grant for the Elderly through the Ministry of Gender, the Swedish and Norwegian Embassy Grant through UN Women for Women in Political Space and also Economic Empowerment Program, the Embassy of Denmark, Sweden and Netherlands support through UNFPA towards gender-based violence prevention and access to sexual and reproductive health rights, the Austria supports the UNFPA, UN Women and UNDP towards strengthening women and girls' access to justice and peace building, and Belgian support towards promoting girls' education. These are just a few examples to demonstrate how our commitments towards promoting gender equality. It is worth noting that there are no quick fix solutions to bridging gender inequalities, and COVID-19 has widened the gap further. Nevertheless, we are all called upon to play constructive roles in creating the future we want for our daughters, our wives and our mothers. Women's voices and participation should be strengthened in COVID-19 decision-making and management to develop more effective responses to the crisis. Finally, I want to recognize the good strides Uganda is making in addressing Goal 5 of the Sustainable Development Goal on gender equality. You have taken a deliberate and planned effort to promote gender equality by increasing the number of women leadership positions, especially in the political field and the public sector. In addition, the specific economic empowerment programs targeting women as well as promotion of girl-child education are notable achievements that should be emulated. To further these achievements, EU and its member states recommends an expeditious passing of the Sexual Offence Bill and Succession Amendment Bill to provide more conducive legislative framework to protect the rights of women and girls. On this note, let me end by reiterating the EU's commitment to working with you all in promoting gender equality and building on women's strength for a better future. Thank you, Mr. President, for inviting and hosting us for this commemoration. We wish every woman a happy commemoration. Thank you.
Your Excellency, please allow me to invite the chairperson of the National Women's Council. We are very proud of the National Women's Council. Right from the grassroots, they came electing NRM women. And here she is, the chairperson of the National Women's Council. Your Excellency, her name is Hajat Farida Kibowa.
Thank you.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and the First Lady, Your Excellency, the Vice President, and our former Vice President, Mama Speciosa, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship, the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the National Vice Chairman of the ANRM Party, the Right Honorable Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, the Leader of Opposition, the Right Honorable Secretary General of the ANRM Party, Honorable Cabinet Ministers and Ministers of State, Your Excellencies, the Ambassadors and High Commissioners, Honorable Members of Parliament, Your Highness, the cultural leaders, religious leaders, the head of civil service, the RDCs, the district chairpersons and local leaders, the women leaders from the women council structures that are watching us, the women leaders from the different political parties of the women leagues, and the representatives from all districts. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hajat Farida Chibowa, the National Chairperson of the Women's Council. On my own behalf and on behalf of all the women of Uganda, I welcome everyone here and congratulate all the people of Uganda, especially women, upon reaching this important day in our lives as women of Uganda. Your Excellency, before I proceed, allow me to introduce the national executive members of the Women's Council, and those are the people that I work with. Kindly Your Excellency, we have Mastula. She's the chairperson of Kamuli District, and she's the national publicity. We have you wave, Mastula wave. She's a flag bearer for Kamuli Municipality. Your Excellency, we have Nora Robina Akwi. She's the Nakapiripiriti District Women Council chairperson and the national treasurer. Your Excellency, we have our senior Honorable Asamo, and of course, she's a member of Parliament and she represents all people with disability on the executive of the Women's Council. Mr. President, your daughter Chichoncho, she's a young person representing the female youth at the executive, in the executive of the Women's Council. My Vice Linda is not here with us, and she sent her apologies. Your Excellency, it is with great pleasure that we join the rest of the world to celebrate the International Women's Day 2021 under the national theme, Building on a Women's Strength for a Better Future in the COVID-19 world. The National Women's Council congratulates everyone, especially the women of Uganda, upon reaching this day and thriving through despite the COVID-19 pandemic. At this juncture, Your Excellency, allow me to recognize our dear sisters and brothers who have succumbed to COVID-19, notably our senior and historical, the First Deputy Prime Minister, Haji Chirunda Chivejinja, Papo Mkuka of Mbale, Ikumbania of Bugweri, Honorable Robina Sentongo and the husband, Honorable Rehma Watongola, and Honorable Frida Mbanda, who was the Masaka District Women Council chairperson, and many others. And it is at this point that I kindly request for a moment of silence in remembrance of our dear sisters and brothers. Thank you. May their souls rest in peace. Mr. President, I wish to appreciate you and Mama for accepting to host a few of us here in State House today as we celebrate this International Women's Day. On behalf of the National Women's Council, we wish to congratulate all women leaders in their respective capacities for the great work they are doing in ensuring social, political, and economic empowerment of women in Uganda. Mr. President, we take this opportunity to congratulate you upon your resounding victory. As the President-elect of the Republic of Uganda in the just concluded general elections, congratulations. We are now confident, Mr. President, that with you as our President, Uganda's future is secured. In the same vein, I would like to congratulate all the political actors who played a role in the elections. The number of women coming up for political and leadership positions. I need to report to you, Mr. President, that 15 women were elected on non-affirmative positions for members of parliament. That means that these women contested with men and won. The men. 146 women members of parliament representing districts and cities, and others representing special interest groups like workers, persons with disability, older persons, and youth. Your Excellency, the Women's Council structure, under your guidance, has proved that it is indeed a nursery bed and a grooming ground for women leaders. In a special way, I wish to recognize Honorable Asamo Helen, who was re-elected to represent persons with disability. She's there, Honorable Asamo. Mr. President, allow me to show you Dr. Agnes Apea, who is the district woman member of parliament elect for Amolata district, and she's the chairperson of the Women's Council. And Linda, who is not here with us, she has come. That is Linda. Finally, she's here. She's the woman MP elect, Lira district, and she's the chairperson of Women's Council, Lira district. Mr. President, allow me also to introduce to you Agnes Awaz Slivia Awaz. She's now the MP elect, Nabila Tuku district in Karamoja. Mr. President, we appreciate the government's efforts under your able leadership for ensuring. We appreciate the government's efforts under your able leadership for ensuring women of Uganda involvement in leadership. This is manifested in the increasing number of women in key leadership positions, like the one next to you, the First Lady, and the Minister of Education, Mama Janet Museveni. We are proud of you. You lead and we follow. The Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Mama Waife Aditwala Kadaga, we extend our appreciation for your concentrated efforts in supporting the National Women's Council, and we pledge working with you in empowering the women. We appreciate, Mr. President, the ministers, the female ministers, like the Minister for Presidents, the Health Minister, the Minister of Trade, the Minister of Energy is here with us, the Lands Minister, the Minister for Kampala Capital City Authority, ICT, and many state ministers in different ministries. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, on top of the many other women in the Women Council structures, there are many that have been elected in different positions, like Kampala City Authority, we have Lord Councillors. In the newly created cities, we have members there, and in district councils and lower councils in lower local government levels. So we congratulate all the women out there. Your Excellency, given their incredible performance, we request you for more placements and appointments of potential women in decision-making positions. Thank you, Your Excellency. Mr. President, as Uganda continues to witness a drop in COVID-19 infections, we wish to applaud you for your timely intervention since March 2020. Your quick actions, steady leadership and guidance put Uganda on the world map for its effectiveness in the fight against the spread of COVID-19 infection. In a special way, we wish to thank the Minister of Health under the leadership of Minister Dr. Acheng Ruth Jen, the state ministers, the permanent secretary, the technical team, and the frontline health workers for the courage and resilience exhibited during this COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for the services you offer, for information sharing on COVID-19 prevention, and thank you very much for saving the lives of Ugandans. Mr. President, the COVID-19 pandemic proved to us that women in both formal and informal sectors are strong. We shall never forget all those that spent days and nights in the markets and other places, not only to ensure the well-being of their families, but also to provide a service to other Ugandans during the lockdown. According to Uganda Police report, cases of gender-based violence, including rape, defilement, physical violence, as well as early pregnancies and marriages, increased during this period of COVID-19. A total of 16,242 cases of gender-based violence were reported to the Uganda Police for the period of January to June 2020. Mr. President, gender-based violence has proved to be real and a threat to humanity, especially to women and girls. We call upon for vigilance from different stakeholders to combat this scourge. We wish to appreciate all those that stood strong and continue to support their families, especially the men. We thank you, Mr. President, for being the male champion. It is our humble request, Your Excellency, that the government of Uganda consider increasing funding towards GBV prevention and response at all levels. The National Women's Council commends the government of Uganda for the different initiatives towards socio-economic empowerment of women. The Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, WEP, has been and continues to support different innovative enterprises for women across the country. Since its inception, 13,061 women groups, translating into 158,043 women, have benefited as at December 2020. These are success stories. A number of women groups have been able to utilize the money and have paid back, which is an indication that funding women projects is smart economics and quickly brings returns. However, our dear President, women report to have been hit hard by COVID-19 in their enterprises, which is somehow completely they are closing businesses after losing their capital. It is our humble request to increase funding for WEP to enable recapitalization of struggling women, struggling mothers with their enterprises, as well as financing more women groups. We thank you, Mr. President. In the first phase of WEP 2015-2020, out of 585 billion shillings, budget only 107 billion shillings, representing 18.3, was released. Your Excellency, in this period, water remains one of the most essential needs of the people for washing hands and general sanitation. However, some Ugandans lack access to safe water and improved sanitation facilities. We request government to further extend water connections to areas that do not have, and consider reducing water tariffs to enable increased access to safe and clean water. Mr. President, besides COVID-19, a number of Ugandans are developing other health complications, including non-communicable diseases like cancer, diabetes, increased mental health, among others. These diseases tend to be expensive to treat and require specialized care that has drained families' incomes and left most families in poverty. In view of the already existing health infrastructure, we request that a health insurance scheme be considered to enable Ugandans and their families access specialized treatment at minimal cost. Mr. President, the government of Uganda, under your able leadership, has come up with different strategies towards uplifting the plight of households from subsistence to commercial production. The National Women's Council, through its adopted household model approach, we pledge our support to mobilize the 68% of poor households for socio-economic empowerment and improved livelihoods as we work with you to ensure the future of Ugandans. It's on this point that we wish to thank you for supporting different women leaders in districts with HEIFAs and always ensuring the annual council meeting conference is held. Finally, in a special way, we strongly appreciate our line minister, Honorable Frank Tumwebaze, our sector minister, Honorable Peace, who is here with us, Mutuzo, the ministers of state, the permanent secretary, the entire technical team of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, and the National Women's Council Secretariat for their continued support and guidance. The different development partners with us here, the stakeholders, men and women of Uganda, you have contributed a lot. We thank you very much. To the women of Uganda, congratulations. Let us continue building on our already existing strength as we secure a better future in the COVID-19 world. Thank you, our dear President, for hosting this occasion, and we appreciate everyone present here and those that are watching us and listening to us from the different parts of the country. For God and my country. Thank you.
Your Excellency, those words were representing all of us, the women in Uganda, because all of us are members of the Women's Council, right from the village level where we are up to the national level. Your Excellency, please allow me to call the UN Resident Coordinator, Her Excellency Rosa Malangu, to make her remarks. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic, Your Excellency, the former Vice President of the Republic, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice of the Republic, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic, the Right Honorable Deputy Prime Ministers, the Secretary General of the National Resistance Movement, the Leader of Opposition in Parliament, Honorable Ministers here present, religious leaders, Your Excellencies, the Ambassadors, High Commissioners, the Dean of the Diplomatic Community, Honorable Members of Parliament, distinguished guests, all women and girls in Uganda, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the United Nations system in Uganda, I am delighted to join today's national commemoration on the International Women's Day, reflecting on gender equality and women's empowerment. The national theme, Building on Women's Strength for a Better Future in a COVID-19 World, highlights the effects of COVID-19 on women and girls and seeks to generate national conversations on recognizing and promoting women's leadership during the pandemic, as well as their role in addressing its socioeconomic impact. Today is an opportunity to reflect on progress made, to make a call for change, and to celebrate acts of courage by ordinary women. The values of Ubuntu Mulamu will guide my remarks today. I begin with the Ubuntu Mulamu values of empathy and civic engagement to convey my condolences to all families who lost loved ones during the past year since our last celebration. I convey my sympathies to all the women disrespected, abused, humiliated during this COVID-19 time and during the violence that predated the general elections. I reiterate our call for peace first in this nation called Uganda, which we developed in close collaboration with the Youth SDG Coalition, the National Initiative for Civic Education in Uganda, and the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. I recognize the government for ensuring the security of all citizens and for their willingness to take corrective action when officers use the wrong methods against the wananchi when conducting arrests. Allow me to start with key achievements. Your Excellency, Mr. President, thank you for being one of the early champions of gender equality and women's empowerment in Uganda. You have created an environment that has enabled women to participate and lead in positions of influence. I would also like to recognize your leadership by launching the Spotlight Initiative, a partnership between the European Union and the United Nations to eliminate gender-based violence against women and girls, which you launched last year. Under this partnership, some of what we have achieved together include adoption of the Adolescent Health Policy and Adolescent and Health Services Standards, finalization of the condensed police standard operation procedures on effective investigation and management of GBV violence cases, as well as cases of violence against children. And third, development of a virtual curriculum for the social welfare workforce and protection actors in target districts, among others. A word on the enabling environment for the promotion of human rights, informed by Umwe Simbu, which means integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1995 Constitution, under Article 33(3), provides for the protection of women and their rights. The advancement of women's rights also relies on gender-responsive policies, such as the Employment Act No. 6, the Uganda Gender Policy, and the National Policy on the Elimination of Gender-Based Violence. We must work together to increase awareness and support implementation. Your Excellency, in February 2020, we launched the Uganda chapter of the African Women Leaders Network, an African Union platform to enhance the leadership of women and the transformation of Africa by bringing together women from all walks of life to change the narrative around women's equal participation and leadership. I call on all women to please use this platform. Ladies and gentlemen, a moment of recognition of women and leadership. which I will do guided by uwerufu, which means transparency and honesty. The United Nations would like to use this opportunity to recognize several Ugandan women leaders who are an inspiration for current and future generations, including the First Lady of the Republic and Minister of Education and Sports, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, the Minister of Health for extraordinary leadership during COVID, and the Minister in charge of general duties in the Office of the Prime Minister for her leadership in creating awareness on the Sustainable Development Goals. But we cannot go forward without recognizing our past. So allow me to recognize, for serving on the Legislative Council, Honorable Rhoda Kalema, Ms. Joyce Mpanga, Ms. Florence Lubega, and Ms. Florence Akello. For being pioneers who contribute to the economy, promote honesty, transformation, and transparency, let us recognize Elizabeth Luanga, Maggie Kigozi, Honorable Miriam Matembe, and Anne Juko, the first woman Chief Executive Officer of Stanbic Uganda, Uganda's largest bank. I also wish to recognize emerging leaders like Vanessa Nakate, the climate change activist, Victor Nalule, founder of Tunaweza Foundation, who demonstrates that with different abilities, you can still lead. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, allow us to recognize very special women in cultural institutions who are influencing positive change. I begin with Her Royal Highness, the Naba Gereka of Buganda, who through her foundation and the Kisa Kate is promoting education of girls, safe motherhood, child health, and civic education. I also want to recognize Her Royal Highness, the Queen Mother of Toro, for being one of the founders of the Council of Traditional and Cultural Leaders of Africa that launched a Uganda chapter in December 2020. Let us also recognize the active participation of African women leaders who, through the Women's Situation Room, deployed to support Uganda as election observers and managed a call center to address emerging challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our first International Women's Day since the COVID-19 pandemic, which has exacerbated gender inequalities and increased violence in our homes. In these circumstances, women have played a significant role in responding to the pandemic as frontline health workers, caregivers at home, market women, teachers, and even members of the security forces. During my missions across the country, in particular to the South, the Western, Eastern, and Karamoja regions, to support the delivery of essential UN programs, I met women and girls serving their communities selflessly with meager resources. Please allow me to recognize some. Ms. Oliver Namusambi, Executive Director, Hope for Children in Amudat District, Karamoja, who opened a temporary rescue shelter at Kalas Girls Primary School for girls who were fleeing from gender-based violence. Mrs. Lochoro Maria, a 63-year-old woman who started Ochamunozi Loptuk, a group fighting gender-based violence in her community, including counseling services to survivors of GBV. To the group of 12 youth, 8 females and 4 males, who I met in Kasoje Sea Village Base Camp Zone in Isinjiro, they are working to solve problems of unemployment and lack of vocational skills by making shoes and training other youth on craft making. Ms. Mavita Ali from West Nile, a youth promoting the recognition of sports as a powerful sector that can provide employment to our youth and promote positive life skills. Ms. Christine Kabazira, a budding journalist for exceptional skills in creating awareness on development issues. Ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, a word on how we can accelerate positive action informed by the value Obumu, which means unity. Together, we must continue to improve the socioeconomic status of women and girls while eliminating all forms of violence and harmful practices, including child marriages and female genital mutilation. This is necessary if women are to continue participating in Uganda's governance, development, and democratic journey. I wish to congratulate all the women who courageously participated in the electoral process as candidates and as voters. And out of the 529 MPs for the 11th Parliament, particular congratulations to the 173 women. Ladies and gentlemen, building on these major strides that are contributing to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal 5 on gender equality, the UN recognizes that expanding women's leadership and participation across all levels in society during this new normal of COVID-19 requires changing perceptions of masculinity. We know that through their actions, men can transform social norms, behaviors, and gender stereotypes that perpetuate discrimination and inequality. We are therefore calling on all men and boys to join the network of positive masculinity known as Men at Work, led by UN Women, and become champions for gender equality in your households and communities. We also call on the 10th Parliament to please prioritize into law some of the pending bills, including the National Health Insurance Bill, the Pensions Bill, the Minimum Wage Bill, and the Legal Aid Bill. We call on the government to kindly revise the National Social Protection Policy to make sure it includes the people in the informal sector, and to increase resources for the implementation of the National Plan for Older Persons, the NSSF Pension Act, and the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons Act, among others. On gender-based violence, we call upon the private sector to join the United Nations Gender Seal, led by UNDP, to ensure gender equality in your businesses and management. As I conclude, Your Excellency, Mr. President, we wish to thank you for today launching the third National Plan on the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 on Women, Peace and Security, which was developed under the leadership of the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. We want to thank the Ministry for your leadership. I also want to recognize that the global COVID-19 pandemic has shaken the core of our societies. It has highlighted negative consequences of inequality, but it also has given us an opportunity to build a more equitable and environment-friendly development approach, as well as a more humane, inclusive, and resilient society. I reiterate our commitment to work with the people and government of Uganda to attain the National Vision 2040 and inclusive development through the SDGs. We will continue to prioritize our engagement with women and youth to support their participation in bringing the SDGs to life. Our priorities going forward will include promoting civic education and Ubuntu Mulamu in close collaboration with NICE Uganda, supporting gender equality and human rights, facilitating agro-industrialization and tourism, as well as greater investment in human capital development and financing the SDGs. I invite participants to read our Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2021-2025 on our website for more details on our commitments. Together, we can build a modern society in which no one is left behind. I end with a quote from Nelson Mandela. While poverty exists, there is no true freedom. End quote. I pray that we may unite today through women empowerment to achieve true freedom for all. Thank you for your attention.
Your Excellency, we are grateful to you because you always solicit support for us as women in Uganda. Your Excellency, my name is Alice Muwanguzi. I've been working as Assistant Director of Ceremonies on this International Women's Day, the 8th of March, 2021. Yeah, last year, Your Excellency, we had said for us we are going to say as Women 2020. But when COVID-19 came, we started slowing down. Now it should have been 2021 with all the women here dancing and singing, but we are happy to be here. I would like to hand over to Honorable Mutuzo Peace Regis, Minister of State for Gender and Cultural Affairs, to continue the program. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the Honorable First Lady, Mama Janet Museveni, Your Excellency, the Vice President, Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Secretary General of the National Resistance Movement, the Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Cabinet Ministers, Your Excellencies, the Ambassadors and High Commissioners, Honorable Members of Parliament, religious leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Your Excellency, and congratulate you upon the recent victory in just concluded elections with a landslide victory and an undisputed one. Even those that had intended to dispute it realized that you had really overwhelmingly won and they withdrew. We thank them for conceding the defeat. We are extremely delighted, Your Excellency, to celebrate with you this International Women's Day 2021 after a lockdown of one complete year. Your Excellency, we have a number of dignitaries who had invited. In the interest of time, I request that you allow me just highlight the categories and request our honorable guests that you rise when I mention the category for recognition. I wish to begin with our former Vice President, Your Excellency, Speciosa Wandera Kazwe. She was the first Vice President in Uganda, a female, and on the region, the East African region. We do appreciate, Your Excellency, that you thought about a woman to be a Vice President. Your Excellency, we have historical female leaders that we invited today. There are a number of elderly leaders, Madame Njuba, who are with you in the struggle and have continued to support the struggle. Your Excellency, we have with us the Speaker of Parliament and our Deputy Speaker of Parliament. We hold you in high esteem and thank you for the good work you have done for us in the legislature. Your Excellency, we have cabinet ministers and ministers of state. I beg kindly that we stand up for His Excellency's recognition. The government chief whip, Honorable Chitutu, Honorable Sarah, and the Honorable Florence Chiyinji. You're most welcome. Your Excellency, we have members of Parliament, the current members of Parliament. They are here with us. Mama Cecilia Ogwal is here with us. The chairperson, women members of Parliament, is here with us. Jackie is here with us. Honorable Samo is also over there. Your Excellency, we have the members of the Women League, the NRM Women League, led by Honorable Wanyoto. Lydia. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. We also have representatives of women leaders in other parties, and Mama Cecilia Gwari is one of them, but she always supports us in all the struggles. Your Excellency, we have pilots, female pilots, the young female pilots. We are celebrating you with the coming of the Bombardier Uganda Airline, flies with the female pilots. We really appreciate you, and thank you so much for leading and inspiring young people. And I'm sure the cameras are viewing, and everybody over there is viewing the young ladies who are pilots. Thank you so much. We have young leaders, the female young leaders. The female young leaders, some of them represent also in the Women Council, but there's one who is responsible for culture, and my sister in the skilling program. She makes shoes, wonderful shoes. The National Women Council, I cannot introduce them more than what the chairperson did, but stand up for recognition. We thank you so much for coming. The Equal Opportunities Commission, thank you so much for coming. The permanent secretaries are also here. They are led by the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. John Metala, and our permanent secretary is also here with us. Your Excellency, we have members of the Diplomatic Corps. Thank you so much. They are led by the resident country coordinator. Your Excellency, we have religious leaders with us. Thank you so much for building our inner body, the spirit. And we also have presidential advisors. Presidential advisors, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would wish to specifically take note of a few following persons. Justice Haneta Olayo, representing women in the judiciary. I think I saw her around today. Justice Catherine Wamgemerere, you are most welcome. Mama Mbire, the first female entrepreneur. She's about 86 years now, but she can still walk on her feet without holding a stick, and she's still very strong and supportive to the revolutionary struggle. Mrs. Zaina Muonga is also here, and Mama Nsonga from Masulita. Mrs. Oliver Chigongo is also with us. And we also want to appreciate Madam Allen Kajina. She has ushered a very visible change in whichever area she has served. We celebrate with you, and your efforts were not wasted. You have done as good as women of Uganda. Mrs. Dorothy Kisaka, sorry, I beg your pardon. Mrs. Dorothy Kisaka, Office of the Prime Minister, KCCA. Thank you so much. Executive Director. Executive Director. Where is she? She's here with us, Your We want to thank Dr. Musenero. She's over there. She's done a tremendous job in the struggle against COVID-19. And many others, of course, who have worked along with her. And Grace Cavallo is the Secretary General of Pan-African Women Organization from Uganda. Your Excellency, I want to take this opportunity to inform you that my colleague, Honorable Frank Tumwebaza, couldn't be here with us because of another engagement you had assigned him to do, and I'm therefore representing him, and I will stand as Aaron in the Bible, who would at all times stand with Moses in the circumstances that was unable to do the duties. Aaron will be there. So I am an Aaron here today. I'm extremely delighted to welcome all of you for this year's International Women's Day at State House Entebbe. In a special way, I wish to thank you, Your Excellency, and the Honorable First Lady, Mama Janet Museveni, as well as the entire team of State House for hosting this function, for the warm hospitality accorded to us. Your Excellency, we thank you for presiding over this year's International Women's Day. Today, we had a dialogue in the morning at Parliament where we had about 200 people brainstorming on the theme of this International Women's Day. And this theme was constituted by members of Parliament, the Women Council, the civil society organization, up to around 11. And now we are in the second session, and where they are viewing us. Allow me, Your Excellency, to congratulate you once again on the victory in the recent concluded elections, and congratulate Your Excellency and assure you of our total commitment to support your mandate during this term, which Ugandans have entrusted you with. I wish to also congratulate all those who were elected in various positions. We look forward, as the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, to work with all the leaders for the socio-economic transformation of our country. We'd like to thank all of you who came to celebrate the Women's Day and for the milestone contribution you have made towards promoting gender equality and women's empowerment. Your Excellency, the global theme for this year is Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID World. The theme celebrates the efforts of women in shaping a more equal future and recovery from COVID-19 pandemic. The national theme is building on women's strength for a better future in a COVID-19 world. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, and all Ugandans, it is now 1 year since COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic. The strict measures which were taken to save lives and control the pandemic, including the lockdown at one time, have had negative impacts on the social and economic well-being of the people in Uganda and the world at large. We have also had a change in the way we conduct business and in the way we conduct ourselves. We now work virtually, and we have to prepare ourselves for a digital future. The theme in Uganda examines the effects of COVID-19 on women and girls and their contribution in responding to the pandemic. The theme requires all of us to position The theme requires all of us in positions of leadership to commit towards mitigating the effects of the pandemic on women and girls and supporting their recovery. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 has affected our economy, escalated cases of sexual and gender-based violence in Uganda, increased pressure on the health sector, and led to the closure of schools and education institutions. As we celebrate the International Women's Day 2021, my ministry and the country at large recognizes the resilience, the contribution and strength of Ugandan women in responding to COVID-19. Women have been at the forefront of the political and institutional response to this pandemic. In the informal sector, Your Excellency, women have continued to play a vital role in the development of the country, including prior to the COVID-19 period. More women, by 95%, are in the informal sector, which has played a critical role in sustaining families, communities during this difficult time. Women in the markets continued to serve and slept in the markets during the lockdown from March to June 2020 in order to ensure that people in urban areas accessed food and supplies from these markets. Through these efforts, women were able to sustain themselves and families throughout the COVID-19 lockdown. This level of resilience and devotion among women is very commendable. During the lockdown, all of us stayed at home. Women and girls, through their reproductive, unproductive, and caregiving roles, shouldered the biggest burden of the pandemic. Building on this resilience and strength, I have the pleasure to inform Ugandans that the NRM government recognizes women's unpaid care work and has taken measures to reduce its burden on women and girls through improving access to quality services and facilities, as well as promoting appropriate technology. We can do better. Women are playing a key role in fighting against COVID-19 in informal settlements as frontline healthcare workers and caregivers. Women constitute 70% of the healthcare workforce. The COVID-19 National Preparedness and Responsive Plan ought to recognize and facilitate their specific needs and vulnerabilities. Ladies and gentlemen, food remains one of the key essentials of life during the lockdown and in the period of recovery. We appreciate the government of Uganda's effort towards the distribution of food items to households and families, especially in urban areas. We equally appreciate the continued food production by farmers who are majorly women, as well as the supply that has sustained Uganda during the COVID-19 period. Your Excellency, you launched the national rollout of social assistance grant for empowerment at the national celebration of the International Women's Day in 2020. I have the pleasure to inform you, Your Excellency, that the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development completed the rollout. A total number of 914,652 beneficiaries have received their payment, from which 548,792 are women, while 365,860 are men. The program delivered 67 billion shillings to beneficiaries in all districts. We want to thank you so much for caring for the elderly persons. It should be noted that 60% of the beneficiaries of the program are women. The program has continued to deliver payment during the COVID-19 period and under approved standard operating procedures and gender and equity issues are also followed strictly. Your Excellency, you also launched the EU Spotlight Initiative on ending violence against women and girls in 7 districts of Amudat, Arua, Kampala, Kasese, Kitgum, Chegegwa, and Tororo. Through the program, government of Uganda has been able to have the national child policy approved, capacity for case management strengthened, sexual reproductive health, HIV, and gender-based violence integrated into the Universal Health Coverage Strategy 2021-2025 of Uganda, and supporting the sustainability of the 16 gender-based violence shelters in different districts. These gender-based violence shelters have played a critical role in the provision of prevention and response services to the survivors of gender-based violence, especially during COVID-19 lockdown, when we experienced increased cases in gender-based violence throughout the country. I take this opportunity to remind all Ugandans, violence is unacceptable. I implore all Ugandans to take measures to stop all forms of violence against women, including mindset, including amidst the emergencies and crises like the COVID-19 we have just experienced, the floods, and other natural catastrophes that we experience. We thank the government of Uganda for the support extended to our flagship programs, the Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, which aims at improving access to financial services for women and equipping them with skills and information for enterprise growth, value addition, and marketing of their products and services. For this financial year, 2020-2021, a total of 18 billion has been disbursed for 2,565 projects, and 26,992 direct beneficiaries have been reached. Your Excellency, our field report have indicated an increasing level of economic exploitation against web beneficiaries by their spouses. Some spouses have abandoned their traditional roles and responsibilities, and they demand for money from their wives at the expense of the project. I call upon men to support their wives. Economic exploitation of women has to stop if we are to register economic gains from women's hard work. The ministry has supported capacity building for women leaders and development of the 3rd National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security in 2020-2025. I'm glad that you will launch the plan today, Your Excellency. My ministry works in collaboration with other stakeholders to implement these policies and programs. I therefore wish to acknowledge and appreciate the contribution of the ministries, departments and agencies, the UN agency and development partners, private sector, the media, and civil society organizations. Your Excellency, allow me to inform you that the women of Uganda are in full support of your vision and strategic plan for the development of this country through the different investments in the economic growth sector and delivery of service. We are aware of your continued support to the empowerment of rural women. Your Excellency, during the commemoration of Mother Tongue Day held on the 2nd of May 2021, the elderly women who you very well know because of some cultural practices were not able to go to school But because of your able leadership, Your Excellency, many of them have been able to acquire informal education through FAO classes. And some were able to acquire education, civic education, through religious institutions. They could read the Bible and the Quran. But now, because of your able leadership to empower and emancipate women under the affirmative action, the elderly leaders, the elderly people are also in parliament. We now have about 5 representatives of the elderly persons in parliament. But at local government, at the lower local government, when they are compelled to read and swear, take oath in English, they struggle with the language they do not able to understand. And they're wondering whether they really commit to what they have sworn if they cannot even speak the language very well. They are seeking your indulgence, Excellency. Allow them swear in the local language, because their grandchildren make fun of them. You listen to Zungururu and everybody is reporting about somebody who could not be able to speak English. But they can able to represent their people in the local councils. Would wish that you buy them out, Your Excellency. Let them take oath in the local language they understand best. Your Excellency, as I conclude, allow me to take this opportunity to once again thank you for your continued support to the empowerment of women and girls through the above named programs. We appreciate your leadership, which has enabled communities, including rural women and girls, to contribute to the overall development of our country. We count on your continued support and once again call upon women, youth, and other vulnerable groups to take advantage of the available government programs to move Uganda to greater socioeconomic growth and development. Your Excellency, while we are operating virtually, I have a message from the Pan-African Women Organization. Her Excellency, Eunice Epinge from Namibia, who is the current president of Pan-African Women Organization, together with eminent President Mama Astou Koita from Senegal. They want to thank you and recognize that you single-handedly revived Pan-African Women Organization movement in 2018. And that it is because of your strong support for women empowerment that the Women Empowerment Program has come to reality. They will forever be grateful. And now they have, the Secretariat is now here in Uganda. We want to thank the Secretary General, Mama Kabayo, and Mama Cecilia Ogwal, because of the way she strongly moves the women agenda. When we are out of this country, you would not believe what she does. We want to thank you because of the way you have stood with us in this struggle. It's now my honor and privilege to invite Your Excellency to address the nation.
Sit down, please, sit down. The former Vice President, Dr. Kazubwe, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship Deputy Chief Justice, Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Secretary General, Chief Whip, Ministers, Members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Women Council leaders, the NRM Youth League, Women League, and all the invited guests, and the Ugandans who are listening outside there. The NRM long ago evolved 4 principles. Because we have been studying this situation of Uganda and Africa for the last 60 years. So as we went along, we thought that what Uganda lacked was grasping the 4 principles. Patriotism, number 1, Pan-Africanism, socio-economic transformation, and democracy. Now, all of them affect the society and especially the woman. But I don't have time to go into each one of them. However, when you come to socio-economic transformation, it's very clear. Since the 1960s, when I started being active, I could see there were 2 types of women in Uganda here, forget about other parts of the world. There were the women who are members of the elite, Abasoma, the educated women. Small group, but they are there. And they, on the one hand. Then on the other hand, you have the village women. Now, when we say socio-economic transformation, what do we mean? For me, I'm very happy that I have been able to jump socio-economically, transform myself. And the proof of that is my wife who is here. Versus my mother, because my mother was a woman. Now, what is the difference? The difference between the Janet-like woman and Esther Kukundeka-like woman, my mother. The difference is that the other one carries the baby on the back. Okheka. Janet here has never carried a baby on her back. She's here, just proof if you want. Not one day has she carried a baby on her back. The children were pushed in their trams. So really we must stop wasting time talking. Things are very clear. So Janet is here. It's not a novel, it's not a fiction. She has never carried a baby on her back. Neither the baby nor the grandchildren. She's not a horse to be rode by children riding on her back. Okuheka, okuweka. Unotaweka ngono. Okuweka abana. Tuwatukyali awo. This woman here has never had amazing to carry water on her head. Except when she was a child, that one I'm not responsible for. I am only accounting for the phase where we were involved. This woman has never carried water on her head. Neither Chidomora, nor a day, because that one sang a Debbie. A Debbie. They are now out of fashion. Teens, whatever they call them. So this one has never carried water. Please, let's not talk endlessly. Talk. We are talking about social economic transformation for all. I will come to that all. Mbade nchali kono wange. Okushenye nku, cutting the firewood. Cutting their firewood with the panga and then carry it on your head. Onotati abanga nku. This one has never cut firewood. She has never carried it. Even when we were in exile in Tanzania, she never carried firewood, even once. Okushenye nku, okutyabe nku. Ukayerenju, sweeping house. In the olden days, we were using the broom. We were using the broom in the olden days. These days, she doesn't even do it herself. She can supervise others to hoover the house. Instead of being there in the okuhemba umuriro, okukuma umuriro, to light the fire. Very troublesome, that one. There's what they call okuhutura, where you become the fan from your lungs. When you are using your breath to be the fan. Uruganda ruavu teruna bigambo. Okuhutura, when the fire goes out, the poor woman must use her breath to Banyangwale call it okuhutura. Uruganda kigambo ki. Okukuma is just to light, that's the general word. Okunokuhemba. But to blow enough oxygen, basoga abanyankore, because it is the same word in Runyankore, okuhutura. Bimogera okusesamu, that is okwenegeza. You just push with the firewood themselves. But this one, the poor woman must use her breath to become the fan now, to be the one to okuhuturomoro. when the woman is going to the market, she carries the food on her head, etoke, rumone, all those things. Okwetika, okwekorra, okwetika ebintu, okubitwara mu katale. And those people are even experts. They can carry without touching it. Very, very experts, our people. They just put it, and I don't know how they handle gravity. Okwerengekyerra. Okuhingisefuka, to cultivate with the hoe. Not the tractor, not even the plow, but the hoe. Ate bwe kituuka ku okweyamba, olina okuva mu nyumba ogende emitala y'amayanja olyoke weeyambe. When it comes to helping oneself, you must go outdoors, even in the night. Even in the night. No indoor, unotagendanga bweruku. This one has never gone out that she's looking for some address. Actually, the Banyankole have a proverb. They say, ekibuni kikufubire kikutwala enjura yona, which means that the behind of yours, which is annoyed with you, forces you to go in the rain, to go somewhere, to go in the rain, to go and help yourself. Then, okusoma n'okuwandiika.
Quatesimu! For the first time in Uganda, you can pay in installments and own a smartphone instantly. Get to own the Samsung A3 Core, Samsung A01 or Samsung A11 and pay back in either daily, weekly or monthly installments for a period of a year. To check if you're eligible for the offer, dial *284*49# today. You also enjoy free 500 MB on the purchased phone every month for the entire loan repayment period. Ha! Uganda nyuma! Airtel, the smartphone network, in proud partnership with MasterCard, Samsung and Asante Financial Services.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we are not going to leave anything on our plates, because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
Household incomes. Of course, what Mtuzo is saying is correct in a way, because she's saying that even when the family earns, those useless husbands can steal the money. They can steal the money and divert it. But that's the next problem. Let the family first earn. Because now the family is not earning. So those people are just fighting over poverty. Yeah. They are fighting over poverty because they are not earning. Because remember the figures of the census of 2014, we are saying that 68% of the homes, somebody was talking about it here. I think it was Farida Chiboa. Somebody was talking about it. 2014, just not a few years ago, they were still saying 68% of the homesteads are only working for the stomach. Bakorachida Chonka, as the Bagwere say, teach, may each, keken, in Luo. So if you have got that situation, you can talk for ages. 68% of the families are not earning income. So you can talk for ages about this rights, but I don't think you are going to move. So let them first. And it can be done. It's just a question of you, the educated people, because I did it. I did it when I was a student. I was not a leader. I was not a member of parliament. I was able to educate those people in the 1960s. Then when I came back recently, I resumed, 86. And they changed. They are there. Their address is well known. That North Ankole, but eventually it covered the whole cattle corridor. Once they get incomes, of course, there can be the issue of distribution, fair distribution. But it is easier to handle when you have got what to distribute than when you have nothing to distribute. So therefore, my main message today really is socio-economic transformation. Let the women of Uganda, because and they spend a lot of time. You can imagine going to look for firewood. How many hours they spend. Some of these diseases that affect people is because of going to the bush to look for firewood. If, for instance, you take bilharzia, they get it when they are going to the river to get water from the river. When we introduced boreholes, imagine boreholes, they were able to save us from bilharzia because people are no longer going to the to the river. This other one, the guinea worm in the north, is disappeared now. And we eliminated it simply by boreholes. Borehole water instead of the other water from the swamps. But still, even the borehole, in my opinion, is not a good idea. It's not the best idea. I think we should go beyond to people having water in their houses, so they don't have to waste time going to Osaka, Amazi, Okuvaku, borehole. But they can't do that if they don't have income. If they have income, they can even bring water, bring electricity independently, even before the government comes in to bring it. Biogas, cooking with the biogas instead of okuwutirira, biogas from the cow dung. So please, let's speak about socio-economic transformation. The difference between Europe and you people is exactly that. Europe started socio-economic transformation about 200 years ago, the Industrial Revolution. They were living like us here. But they changed. It is socio-economic change, not just legal. Because if you talk about legal, without talking about the society changing, you can talk for centuries. Nothing will move. In fact, you can even regress. You see it in the countries of South America, those countries of South America. You see them. They have been there for a long time. Recently, you are seeing people coming from South America walking on foot to go to the United States. Those countries have been there for a long time, but they have not moved. So are we going to be like Latin America? So please, let's, I have given you the formula. The NRM has put it in the manifesto. Let everybody be involved in the four sectors of the economy. Either you are in commercial agriculture, or you are in smaller factories, industry, or you are in services, or you are in ICT. You can't just be there doing nothing. Like our Bayai in Kampala, because our Bayai in Kampala, they are what we call the lumpen proletariat. They don't belong anywhere. They are neither farmers nor factory workers. They are just there. In French, they are called elements déclassés. Declassed elements. They don't belong here, they don't belong there. And then you see these people calling themselves leaders running up and down. Those people need a solution, not just shouting and making fools of yourselves. Now finally, the corona, we told you that this corona, when the corona came, we analyzed it, and we told you that it is possible to defeat it because we could see the characteristics of the disease. Now, people initially didn't believe us. Some people were giving different, this one, church leaders, everybody's an authority. But we insisted, we said, if you don't want to die, this is the way. And the majority of the Ugandans listened. I congratulate Ugandans really, because the majority listened. I congratulate them. They ignored the liars. And because of that, we have got very few deaths. We are poor in death. Some of the other countries are very rich in death. We ended up losing 350. How many are they now? 350. Health, nobody from health here? I think there are like 350 people who have died. Some of them, of course, the prominent ones, whom you know. But you know what happened in other countries? It was. So this shows you that if we really make our own judgment, we can overcome. There's nothing we cannot overcome. Now, because we handled it well, the deaths were few, but also you were infecting one another quietly there. And I think because the majority of our people are young, they would be infected and they recover. Like in our household, we had like 10 children, these workers of ours, who got infected, but they recovered, all of them, nobody died. But they also didn't infect us because, I think it was mainly because when they come to work in the house, the house is spacious, it's not squeezed, it's not, so they would come and we were not, it was going to affect my campaign time because when the first ones who got infected, I was in Mbari. Then the children who were in the press team, they are the ones who first got infected, the press team. Then by the time I got to Rukunjiri, even the ones in the household had been infected. When I was in Masindi, that's when they were discovered. But they all recovered. So I have not studied the whatever they call it, study the way the epidemic developed, but now it seems to be going down. Seems to be going down because we have been trying one of our medicines which we think cures some of these problems. But one of the problems they have been having in Marago was enough patients. Patients were very few. I think the other time when I checked, they had got 4. Then I said, but how do you know that the medicine is working? They say, first of all, they look for one who is not, who has been infected, but not yet damaged. Because this corona can actually damage you, damage your lungs, damage I don't know what, damage what. So even when you get cured of the virus, you can continue and die because of the previous damage. So the ones they try our medicine on are the ones who have been infected but not damaged, where their organs are not damaged. Because they want to prove whether the medicine works. And then my question was, but what if it doesn't work? Will the person not die? Are you not going to be killers? They said, no, don't worry. They said that we give him both. We give him what we are giving, what we are using to treat others, but we add this one on also. Then I said, okay, how do you know that the medicine is working? Because if it's cured, maybe it's cured by the other medicine. They said, no, the speed of curing will be faster. If the other one was taking 8 days to bring results, this one will take maybe 4 days. And then once we are sure that it has got effect, then we can rate it alone without akatogo with others. So they are working on that, and everybody has been cured, the one whom they gave the medicine. We don't know whether it was cured, but I want to get the data. Did they get cured quickly or what? I want to get that data. Musenero. Okay, Musenero knows the story, but I don't think she wants to give all the details here. Then we are also working on the vaccine ourselves, because we don't want to depend on others. It took us a little bit of time, because when we were looking for the things to use, they said, you Africans, what are you looking the vaccine for? You wait, we shall get it and send you. Africans don't look for vaccines. That's what we were told. You want to import these machines? Why? Africa doesn't buy these machines. Can you imagine? You Africans, you don't have a good name in the world. Why do you want these machines don't go to Africa? But we said, no, we shall get them. If you don't give them, somebody else will give them to us. Now we have everything. We are going to make, we are in the process of making our own vaccine. Not only for because there is the old corona, the other virus which started, but now there is a new one. It has a muzukuru. It has got a muzukuru now. the muzukuru of the original one. So actually our people are now targeting the muzukuru now. They are no longer. So ours may end up being much better. But in the meantime, fortunately, we have also bought some from the one of the Oxford one, which was developed by Oxford, and then they propagated it in India, in the Serum Institute of India. So some of them have arrived. So we're going to vaccinate the risky workers, the health workers, all those who have been on the front line of the virus, the security people. In the meantime, I'm going to get from Monitor money for my party, because they said I had hidden and vaccinated myself secretly with my wife. They are going to get me some money for my party. I have already put the case in the court. Monitor, I will make them bankrupt if they, unless they apologize and lie down and say, sorry. If they don't, I'm really going to go for them. That I am a selfish man who hid with my wife and we got injected when other Ugandans were at risk. That's not Savarwanyi. Savarwanyi doesn't behave like that. So we are moving where we think we are about to get out of this crisis of this corona, because I think I can see things are moving well. from whichever side. Now, finally, on the Okubegera, you remember the part of the political empowerment, we used the method of Okubegera. Okubegera, you know, our traditional homes where you put food on oragara, on a banana leaf for the whole family to eat with their hands communally. And when the food is hot, with steam coming out, children are putting their finger there, they are being burnt. Then the mother says, oh, no, Okubegera, this is for the children. You adults don't touch it. So that's how we Okubegera what would you call it in Luo, when you put aside food for the children? In Luo. When you the mother puts aside food for the children, adults not touch it. You don't have it. Poko. Poko is to dish out. Poko what? Oh, Poko, Pilutino. Okay, that's a sentence, but that's a sentence, because you see with the Bantu dialects, if you say Kubegera, you don't have to add any description. Everybody knows. Or Kubegera means you put aside for, it's one word. So now you can see, because somebody was boasting, I think it was Irene Mwanguzi, who was saying that we, the women, by competing on the ragara, on the hot food, we were able to get 15 seats. Only 15 seats. Out of how many constituencies? 300 and what? The constituencies are how many? 360? 35? Uh-huh. So from 353 constituencies, you get only a para beach. 15. That's not some. That shows you the problem. Now the question is, what would have happened if the NRM had not Poko P Lotino? You can see the wisdom of the NRM, although some people just they attack NRM. Now, how would the women have come up if we had not done that Okubegera, where we said, you first go and the other one is called Oktavana. When you eat together, you eat Oktavana. You go first Oktavana on the ragara, on the communal family food, but afterwards there is some food for only the women here. So that's what actually changed the situation of Uganda, because now that means because the districts are now 146. So whatever happens to the 15, then you have now an extra 146. So that shows you that our appreciation was correct. That if you really want women to have a voice, you can't use the other simple formula of one person, one vote. Yes, you will have democracy, all right, but it will be democracy with inbuilt marginalization. Yeah. That's why NRM said, no. It must be democracy, but with affirmative action. That's our formula. So I congratulate the women. I congratulate all Ugandans on this occasion of the Women's Day. Apoyo Rubanga. Thank you very much. Now there is something. There is a book, a plan. Sit down. This is National Action Plan 3 on women, peace and security. I haven't read it. I don't know what it involves my socio-economic transformation, but for better or for worse. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the government of Uganda is committed to the implementation of the Women, Peace and Security Agenda as enshrined in the United Nations Security Council Resolution UNS something 1325 and subsequent resolutions. Uganda has demonstrated this commitment on women, peace and security through the development and implementation of the first National Action Plan 2008 and 2010 and second Action Plan 2021-2015. The third National Action Plan 2020 I can't manage that. The 2025 is premised on the reflections and lessons learned from the implementation of the first and second National Action Plan, with the new focus on promoting women's meaningful participation and leadership in conflict prevention, resolution, and peace building. Ngakanga tekalimu. Okulamula abarwana. Kale katugenderawo. I wish to thank the UN agencies, our development partners, government ministries and agencies, local governments that have supported our women, peace and security agenda. Special thanks to the government of Norway and UN Women for supporting the development of the plan. Ladies and gentlemen, I take the honor to launch the third National Action Plan of Women, Peace and Security and call upon you to support its effective implementation. But add somewhere my socio-economic transformation. The book is here. The book. Mtuzo harimo okindu embere yaba enshaho z'abakazi. Kirumu ninga icyo tikirumu no kuramura kwonka.
In resolution yo kuramura kwonka.
Okuramura kwonka.
Ejo kwatire no kuramura.
Okuramura benjara. Okuramura benjara. What do you call separating people who are fighting in our law? Huh? Teko.
Yes.
Teko. So this teko with the, what do we call hunger? With the cage. Teko with the cage. Teko make cage. You separate people who have eaten. Yes, so I think we should add How can you add the Shaho?
The socio-economic transformation is also part of it within the conflict resolution.
You are sure?
Yes, Your Excellency.
Or you have thought about it on the microphone now?
No, Your Excellency. In the conflict resolution, we look at a win-win. People are struggling because of poverty. So the best way to do it is to ensure that each one has his own share.
Okay. Apoyo Rubanga. Let's move.
Your Excellency, there is also a need for you to launch the 8th and 9th periodic report on the implementation of the Convention of Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. The report is with you, Your Excellency.
Very good. Thank you.
Your Excellency, there is a dummy check for Women Entrepreneurship Program, which would wish you to hand over to Wakiso District. The dummy check. And the chairperson of Wakiso District is here with us. And the chairperson of the Women Council. Let them receive the check, Your Excellency, from you. Yes, you can request them. You want me to come here? Your Excellency, I invite you to kindly hand over the check worth, is that 7 million? Worth 7 billion shillings, 65,900,000 shillings to Wakiso District, which is a host today, and the chairperson of Wakiso District, Sheila Kariebara, is there to receive it. Thank you, Excellency. Excellency, we thank you for launching the 2 reports, and we kindly request you to sign on the dummy booklets. And with you will be the UN Resident Coordinator, Rose Malango, and Her Excellency Arian Ostabo Johnson, and the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Your Excellency, the 2 last damage checks would wish to request that they are handed over to the chairperson of the Women Council, the Institutional Support Fund for local governments, worth 895 million shillings, and the revolving fund, 727 million shillings. We thank you so much, Your Excellency, for the role you have performed in launching these socio-economic transformational programs. Your Excellency, we have come at the end of our program, and I want to thank you so much for standing with us, and I want to request management to play the anthems. I thank you.
It's your rose today, mothers, daughters, all women everywhere, stand up and embrace your rose today. We are the proud mothers of our nation, the backbone without which it can never stand. We wake up, we wake up, we wake up at the crack of dawn and take the nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite you for lunch. And I beg your pardon,
Quatesimu! For the first time in Uganda, you can pay in installments and own a smartphone instantly. Get to own the Samsung A3 core, Samsung A01 or Samsung A11 and pay back in either daily, weekly or monthly installments for a period of a year. To check if you're eligible for the offer, dial *284*49# today. You also enjoy free 500 MB on the purchased phone every month for the entire loan repayment period.